You know who's got the hardest job tonight? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay. Okay.
Now, I know you guys seen that video clip before, and if you haven't, please let me know your thoughts on that video clip. That clip has the person that we're going to be talking about tonight, Mr. Will Smith. In my opinion, Will is an awesome role model as it pertains to success, family, and self-discipline. Tonight, we're going to be watching a video of Will Smith's rules to success on the Evan Carmichael channel. Make sure you guys go over and check out his content on his channel. Let's get into it.
Will Smith isn't just an actor, he's a walking masterclass in reinvention. He went from a broke rapper dodging the IRS to a global superstar by betting on himself, outworking everyone, and refusing to accept limits. Most people see the fame. What they don't see is the relentless discipline, the years of grinding, and the mindset that turns setbacks into stepping stones. He once held a Guinness World Record for the most movie premieres in a single day, not because he had to, but because he attacks everything with that level of intensity. Here are 10 rules he lives by. Hard-earned lessons on success, belief, and the price of greatness. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Have discipline.
People don't really realize what it takes to win, right? And it's like there's a great quote. Don Simpson, who was one of the original producers of the first Bad Boys, and we saw a screen and it was really good. And he said, I said, it's good. It's at about 90%, and he said, the great thing about being at 90% is at least, you're halfway there. Right?
It's crazy.
And I was like, and that has turned out to be so true. The difference between 90% and 100% is lifetimes of difference. The difference between a good player and a great player is light years. It's like, my son was a chronic B student and he would get B's all the time. And he was like, Dad, it's just, I really could get A's, if I wanted to. And I was like, nigga, I promise you can.
Believe in yourself.
I promise you can. You think that the difference between a B and an A is the same as the difference between a C and a B. Nigga, it's not. It's not. Right? It's like you might have to eat differently. Like you might have to change friends. You might have to study sleep, to get from B's to A's. It's like the difference between good and great, it is underestimated by most humans. It's like, if you want to be good, you can be talented and be good. You can wake up and be good. But if you good and you just wake up and be good, you're not going to beat me. You're never going to beat me if you're not if you're not doing, 70-hour weeks on your craft, right? And it's like, that is such a hard thing to communicate to people. And it's even more difficult when people are talented. When people get a B easy.
They think they got it.
They think they got it, And it's like, I'm telling you, it's like, it's not easy. but it is really simple to change your life. It's so simple, right? People don't realize that one bad night is up 10. You can't get drunk and not work out on Saturday. You mess up 10 days. Like somebody else is getting past you in that time. It's like the level of sharpness and discipline that it takes to get to the heights that you dream of is really simple. It's just not easy.
Rule number 2 is believe in yourself.
Following your dreams is a lonely, solitary, scary, dangerous pursuit. You can't wait for somebody to think you can do it. And it's like because they don't think you can do nothing they can't do.
Exactly, bingo.
Right? You know what I mean? It's like it's a lonely, scary, dangerous pursuit, and you got to be willing to risk everything to become that seed of what you believe is in there. You got to be fearless. You got to be relentless. Everybody has dreams, and as much as you want to be able to listen a little bit, because somebody's going to give you a gem, but nobody knows but you. You can't get advice on what you should do with your life, right? Nobody knows what you are. Like even sometimes you don't really even know what you are. You got to take your shot. And it's like, as much as you want people to agree and you want the people around you to be supporting your dreams and all, it's not going to be like that all the time. You got to do it alone. And people will help you, and when you get the ball rolling, people will jump on. But if you don't believe, nobody else is going to believe. People come along because your belief is so insane, that your belief is so strong that makes people be like, yo, this crazy asshole.
Rule number 3 is choose your friends wisely.
I heard a great thing. Somebody said there are 3 kinds of friends in your life that you call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and one kind of friend looks at the phone and pretends like they were asleep. There's a second kind of friend that picks up the phone but makes you feel bad for being in trouble at 3 a.m. And the third kind of friend, the one that you want, is the one that you hear them putting their pants on while they're answering the phone.
The ride or die.
The ride or die, And I just think that idea, it's like life is so hard. Everybody wants somebody that's like, it's whatever, man. What do you need? I'm there.
Rule number 4 is trust. Rule number 5 is break your limits.
I was really hooked on chess. My father taught me how to play chess, and he taught me I was probably 8. And he trained me for 4 years, and I was 12 the first time I beat him at a game of chess, and once I beat him, he never played me again. I loved it, and I started training. Jada got a grandmaster, Maurice Ashley, who's the first black grandmaster, and she got him to come and teach me for 3 days. So he taught me this thing. He said, so listen, he says, when you look at a chessboard, here's what I want you to do. He said, in your mind, when you look at a position, put your pieces wherever you want them. Pick them up in your mind and put them where you want them. Where do you wish they were? Right? And I was like, well, yeah, but it can't go. He's like, that's the trick of your mind. I used to watch that all the time with people fighting Mike Tyson. They were walking into the ring defeated. They were already defeated. I think it was Mike's first fight out of jail. He fought a guy, big dude, named Pete McNeely. For Pete McNeely, this was his shot at everything. The bell rings, and he charges across the ring and throws 10 haymakers at Mike like nobody I had ever seen, right? And I'm like, yes! Exactly! That's your shot. That's your shot. He burned everything in the first 60 seconds, and then Mike caught him. If you say in your mind, I want this, oh no, he can't do it. You're done. You're dead. You're training yourself to not even be able to imagine what you want. How can you stop it in your mind? In your mind has to be the wildest, freest place where you have everything you've ever dreamed. Jaden said a thing. Jaden ran up to me after the jump. and I'd never seen this look in his eyes. He said, "Dad, I now understand the difference between me and you. You always have one more go. People get to their limit." And he said, when the helicopter took off, I was at my limit, right? He's like, I would have said, no, put it down. He said, but you have one more go. Your mental and emotional limits are way before your actual limit. So you always have to keep a stash of one more go. Your own mind stops you in places that the world is going to move out of your way. That's why I love the line in Pursuit of Happiness. Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period.
So what do you guys think about these rules to success so far? We have discipline, believe in yourself, choose your friends wisely, trust the universe, and break your limits. Let me know in the comments what you think about the first 5 rules. Let's keep going.
Rule number 6 is be prepared.
The being prepared for the next thing is so wildly critical. I think life in general is rise and fall. Everything is rise and fall. And there's been a couple times in my life where I got caught holding on to the last wave while it's dying.
Oh, I have a good quote for that.
Yeah.
I have a Casey Neistat quote.
What Casey
which
said?
is like that I don't even he probably didn't make this up, but Tarzan can't get to the next branch if he doesn't let go of the first one.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of that
real.
same philosophy.
Yep, absolutely. And you've got to be, when you're grabbing that first one and you're holding it, it's going to be there. It's fantastic, but you got to know that you're going to have to let go at some point, because the same thing that saved your life, if you hang on, it'll kill you.
Rule number 7 is choose happiness.
There was a real period in my life that I had to struggle with, we can win or I can be nice. Pick one. Right? And different people pick different things.
Right.
For the type of material world climbing, that I did for a big chunk of my life, it was military minded. We're going to get that flag to the top of that hill. And you are going to help or you're not going to be here, right? So that's one mindset. And then after I got the flag to the hill a couple of times and kept getting the flag to the hill and realized that you don't feel good and you've scorched earth, around you, and you're like, nobody's really happy, and then I started to have to question that mindset. I had one of the greatest runs in Hollywood history, 8 number 1 movies, all over 100 domestic, biggest global movie star, all of that, and my family was miserable.
Pause. Let me know what your favorite Will Smith movie is in the comment section. Let me know. Let's get back to it.
And I had equated winning with happiness, right? It's like, we're winning. What is y'all problem? And the transition from product focus, like military minded, get to the top of that hill. And then I shifted into a mindset, and it was really my kids who brought me out of that. I shift into discovering, like, well, damn, people really care about how they feel. Right? And as crazy as that sounds, my father wasn't concerned with how I felt. He wasn't concerned with how he felt. he was military minded. You achieve the mission. And there's two possibilities. When I give you a mission, there's two possibilities. One, you complete the mission, or two, you're dead. Right? You know, and that's what my father was saying. I grew up with that. Oh, cool, right? I actually had to discover feelings, right? And start like, I used to have to really focus on, okay, how's this person feel? How's this person feel? Not what do I need them to do, and not they're wasting our time right now and we're losing time and we're gonna not finish this mission, right? But there is a balance between the mindset of achieving and loving kindness that at this point in my life, I've actually discovered the magical balance, but it's really hard to get people to let go of the attack and defend achievement mindset and trust the care and concern for your fellow humans as a way of creating higher production.
Rule number 8 is conquer your fears.
Skydiving is a really interesting confront with fear. I gotta stand up. I gotta stand up. You go out the night before and you take a drink with your friends and somebody says, yeah, we should go skydiving tomorrow. And you go, yeah, we'll go skydiving tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. And you go, yeah. And everybody goes, yeah. And you go home you by yourself, you're like, Right? You're like, well, I mean, they was drunk too. So then that night you're laying in your bed and you just keep, and you're terrified. You keep imagining over and over again jumping out of an airplane and you can't figure out why you would do that. So you get there and then.
So Will Smith is talking about jumping out of an airplane, how the feeling is really exhilarating. Question for you guys. Have you jumped out of an airplane before? And if you haven't, would you? Let me know in the comments.
You have the safety brief, and you're standing there, and the guys will tell you, well, if the chute doesn't open, what's going to happen is you're doing, well, why the hell, what could happen? So you get onto the airplane, and you're sitting there, and you know, it's extra because you're sitting on some dude's lap, some stranger, trying to make small talk. Yeah, man. So you be jumping with people all the time, huh? So you fly and you go up to 14,000 feet and somebody opens the door. And in that moment, you realize you've never been in a freaking airplane with the door open. Terror, 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 terror. And then people start going out of the airplane. And the guy walks you up to the end of the thing, and you're standing and your toes are on the edge and you're looking out down to death. They say on 3. 1, 2, and he pushes you on 2 because people grab on 3. And you fall out of the airplane. And in 1 second, you realize that it's the most blissful experience of your life. You're flying. There's zero fear. You realize that the point of maximum danger is the point of minimum fear. The lesson for me was, why were you scared in your bed the night before? What do you need that fear for? Everything up to the stepping out, there's actually no reason to be scared. And then in that moment, all of a sudden, where you should be terrified is the most blissful experience of your life. And God placed the best things in life on the other side of fear.
Rule number 9 is show love and kindness.
I grew up with violence in my home, so I developed, a really acute emotional sense, out of defense. I just needed to make sure that my father was okay. I needed to make sure things were going well. And I just became really hypersensitive to emotional movement in a room as a defense mechanism. And then as I grew and as I started to develop that, that heightened sense that started out as defense, as I settled down and, came into a deeper understanding of my power and my desires in the world, it was easier to connect to people in a loving way. It transferred easily from a defense mechanism to an ability to love and care for people.
Our childhood experiences form our adult desires.
Absolutely.
And I feel like now people are starting to hear that in the conversation where they're like, oh yeah, because this happened with my parents.
Yeah.
Now I feel like this. How do you think you were able to, because we've talked about this before when you've talked about your mother, your father, what you learned from them. Tell us a bit about what you learned and how you were able to process it positively and engage with it rather than create a negative story from it. Because a lot of people may see violence and react differently.
Yeah. I think there's always an aspect of us that when we feel unloved, in any capacity, in any relationship, when we feel unloved, when we feel mistreated, when we feel somehow disrespected, it's a natural reaction to want revenge. And I think that's what happens with most people, specifically in our most vulnerable stages when we're children, and we haven't done anything to deserve that kind of treatment. It's really hard for the ego to not click into revenge, and once I discovered that mechanism, once I saw that most of us walk around with, that we want revenge against that mistreatment. It's a little piece of that with all of us. So the problem is that when you seek revenge, you destroy yourself, and that's the paradoxical conflict that we all live in. Yeah. Someone has mistreated us. We want revenge, but if we take it, we hurt ourselves more.
It's crazy how it's
right?
designed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is the, as Radhanath Swami referred to, the perplexing situation that we find ourselves in. And the only answer is loving kindness. And most of us don't want to hear that. It's like, I'll take my chances with revenge. I'm going to take my chances with punching this dude in the face or cussing this girl out or whatever it takes. But I can't do loving kindness. Yeah. And for me, I had such a beautiful example of loving kindness in my grandmother when I was growing up. I always knew I wanted to be that, the way that she loved and cared for people. I didn't realize that her giving was connected to her peace. That was something that I got a concept of later, but I always knew that was my example. And I think that's the critical part. We need an example. Somebody has to be an example. Human beings are creatures of example. You got to see it.
Yeah.
So that's really where I am in my life right now. I want to show what it looks like to be loving and kind and giving and forgiving. And I want to model those virtues as best I can.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is be uncomfortable.
Nervous is great. It means you're outside your comfort zone, where growth happens.
Did you cut your hair? That looks nice, man.
Besides, you never really needed permission to take matters into your own hands.
That's Jaden on his brand new drum set.
Or die dive headfirst into the unknown.
Jaden will officially be starring in my next movie with me.
Or being courageous enough to try something new and persistent enough to stick to it for years even when it knocks you down. Or take challenges on way bigger than yourself.
This is our first bottle of Just Water.
You feel good about it?
Guys, this is amazing.
You've always had an interesting sense of self-expression. But you take jabs like a champ and deal them back with effortless class.
Jaden, tell the truth. I have a gut now, right? Be honest.
We never really understood your thing with bugs, though. Seeing you roll around on the ground was a lot cuter when you were a baby.
Better now that you're here.
My dog. You were nervous. Shoot, I was nervous. But we did the damn thing out there.
You know why you was an icon living?
Why?
You was born from an icon living.
Yeah.
Around Magnia, icon living. Tequila, then we make some icon children. You was raised in an icon village. Work hard, then raise an icon ceiling.
Yeah.
One day I'ma hand you all the icon village.
Yeah.
Bounce,
I'ma be an icon children. Let's go.
Único lo que siempre es el golazo. Puras tú con el éxito de caso. No quiero que me hables de fracaso. Tú ponme lo que quieras que yo razo.
You was always challenged for that, right? Like, oh, you're soft, you're different than other rappers.
man.
Your positivity was always challenged. Like, people always wanted you to justify being positive.
Being positive,
so much
right?
in your
Absolutely.
music.
Yeah, no, that was a difficult time coming up because it's like I'm from Philly, right? So during that time in Philly, it was Joe Frazier and Rocky. So a fist fight was common. So you grew up,
Right.
You grew
those hand
Chuck,
skills.
yeah, Chuck D he called it Pug City. He's like Pug City. He's like Chuck was like, damn, you can't go to Philly without getting in a fight.
Right.
So it's like I grew up in that. So for me to it was always difficult for people, to say I was soft and I was, my music was cotton candy and all of that. So I always wanted to fight to try to prove myself. But fighting yourself to maintain positivity is the hardest fight you ever gonna have, right? And it's like that struggle to just stay my course, to be the person in the world that I wanted to be, no matter what people said. And it was I started to call it offensive positivity, right? Like I wasn't gonna be on defense with my positivity. I was gonna be on offense with it.
Will Smith is definitely someone that gets my respect. So, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.